So this first video is of the Dayton parking lot. This is a private residence. The highlighted yellow is a tree branch, but it's actually behind that tree branch is where the vehicle is. And you'll see the three people. That's going to be the shooter, his sister and friend. They're walking, they're walking eastbound right now. Hold on a second, man. On the right-hand side for each of these slides, there's a thumbnail that shows the video that you're looking at, the camera viewpoint, and it will show the path. So to keep it in perspective and context. The next slide is going to be behind the Newcomb's parking lot, or Newcomb's in the alley. This is from their video. The video is very clear. You'll see that in a minute. This shows the three of them together. Please note the individual on the left is the shooter. He was wearing a shirt for most of the evening that has that very distinctive decal on the back that made it possible for us to identify him in several different video sources. Next. This is going to be a short clip of a video of Inside Blind Bob's. You're going to see the shooter enter from the patio. The sister and friend are still on the patio. He's going to speak with the doorman for a minute. He's going to exit. The time that we have on this is about 13 minutes after midnight. He leaves here in just a moment. You can get him click next. And now at 12:14, so a minute later, this is the shooter entering Ned Peppers. He goes into Ned Peppers. He's there for about 30 minutes. Ned Peppers was very crowded, shoulder to shoulder. And then he leaves at 12:42. That's a key time also. Remember the 12:42 time, because we're getting closer to the point of when the shooting began. So the shooter exits, and we catch him on video going eastbound on 5th Street. You can see we've highlighted it in yellow right up here. You can see that shirt that helped us find him. He travels eastbound. You can see the patch on the right-hand side in the thumbnail, and then moves on. Oh, I'm sorry, back up one, I apologize. Another point to note, so he has just come out of Ned Peppers. This is a video from actually a hole in the wall, which is right adjacent to Ned Peppers. The front of this is the police cruiser. This is where the police are. They're very visible at this point. So the shooter actually comes out of Ned Peppers and walks right in front of that police cruiser. He was aware of where they were, or you would think it had to seen them. Next slide. So this doesn't look like much, but it is his shirt you can see here. This is him in the alley. This is video that was caught from the rear of, this would be Tumbleweed. We know that's him because of the timing. You'll see in the next couple slides where it's very clearly him. This is video next door. This is from Hart Mercantile, still in the alley. The shooter is now walking in the alley. You can barely see it, it's very grainy. He's walking eastbound. He's walking back towards the car at this point. And then this is behind Newcomb's, very clear video. When he comes across, he's still walking eastbound. You'll note that he's still wearing a t-shirt. He's still in shorts. There's no backpack. It's 12:45 right now. We know that at this point, he's heading back to the car. We catch him in the alley. This is from the record store on 5th Street. You're going to see him coming from the left to the right. So then we're going to switch over to the private residence camera. That's the one you saw in the very beginning. He's behind the car. If you were on a high resolution screen, you can see through this branch that there's movement. It appears that he's walking around the car. It appears that the trunk lid's coming open and shut. He's there for about 8 minutes. And you're going to see him when he exits. It's going to take a second here, but when the video, we sped it up so you don't have to wait 8 minutes. But when he walks out, you're going to notice the key thing here is he's no longer wearing a short sleeve t-shirt, and he's now wearing a dark hoodie, and he has a backpack. We'll get a better look at the backpack in a minute. I don't know if you can see the movement on here, but there is movement right around the car right there. And here he comes exiting. So now he's wearing the backpack. He's wearing a long sleeve shirt. The path on the right-hand side shows how he went. He's going to cut back over to the alley. Next slide. This is from the record store, so we can catch him cutting that same path right here. And part of this was just verifying at this point that he had no interaction with anybody else. Here he comes. He's coming out from between the dumpsters in the building, and he's going. The thumbnail shows the path that he's going. Let me go to the next slide. So this is the video that's right behind Newcomb's. He's going to come from screen rights because now he's traveling eastbound, and you'll see that he has the backpack and he's in long sleeves, and the backpack is weighted down. It's not empty. So this is a key point here because, pause for a second, man. Thank you. On the thumbnail, you'll see that this camera view goes to the corner, which is this corner of this building. At this point, we lost him for about 9 minutes. We couldn't find him anywhere on the following video. Go to the next screen. So this is a viewpoint from Hart Mercantile, which should pick up, you'll notice right here, the opposite corner of that building. And you saw when he walked, we saw the image of him walking across the first time. We never could see him coming this way. The guys finally picked it up. Watch where we highlighted the screen here. We'll probably have to play this portion twice. But when you play it, you're going to see him dart around the corner. And there it is. Pause it and go back and play it one more time. I'll play it one more time for those of you who couldn't see it. But he shoots around that corner pretty quickly. He was behind the building, behind Newcomb's, for about 9 minutes. And there he goes again. So, click next for me, next slide. This is the viewpoint behind this. So this is where the corner he just went around. We have a pretty good idea what he was doing there because as he shoots up this alley, probably right, not the right turn because eventually he does actually shoot up the alley. But he comes up this alley. We know that he was probably charging his weapon, loading the weapon up, because the next day, as we're processing the scene, approximately where that highlighted star is or where this placard is, there is an unspent round. It's damaged, like it had to be ejected because it didn't charge properly. So that was recovered. It was one of a .223 round matching what the shooter had. So we're pretty sure that as he was turning this corner, he was probably charging his weapon. He had to probably recharge it. And the next video is going to show the reason why we think that as he was traveling up this alley is when he began shooting. So this is another one that we're going to have to show twice, and I'll tell you when, Matt, in a second. Because the first thing you're going to notice is the people. That's going to tell you when you actually have rounds coming down range. Then we're going to replay it, and I want you to follow the line that we've superimposed, and that'll show when the shooter comes through here. It's hard to keep track of both of them, but you're going to notice after you see when they start moving that the shooter doesn't actually enter the frame until after that happens. So this is the patio for Blind Bob's. Go ahead and click play for me, Matt, please. Now they're moving, they just heard shots. And if you would play again for me. So he's going to play it again, and now that you see him when they start moving, the best place to see him is right here, but he'll run this path. So then there he goes. And we know that he's been firing. Go ahead and pause for a second. Because just past this umbrella is the taco stand on 5th Street. That's where our first 3 fatalities occur. One of them is sister. So we also know from homicide tells me from the eyewitness accounts that as he's crossing 5th Street, which is right here on the red line, he continues to fire down 5th Street. And there's evidence of that that they collected also. Go to the next slide for me. So this slide that you're looking at right now is, we're going to kind of move you geographically down the street. This is from the hole in the wall, which is the store that is adjacent to Ned Pepper's. The cruiser I showed you earlier is actually, it's not in the picture right here, but it's because it's cropped. But the cruiser and the police will be right here. This is the crowd in front of the hole in the wall there. When the video starts, they are reacting to shots fired, and you're going to see the first response of the officers. Go ahead and hit play for me. So they've obviously just heard the gunfire. The first officer coming around this corner you're going to see will be Officer Rolfus, I believe. Followed by, I believe, Officer Denlinger. The remainder of them will come out, they'll fan out right here. And you can see when, and this might stutter on me because this video does, but I didn't this time. So they're engaging right now. So this is the officers, and because later on you can barely see these guys from the shot that we have. And I wanted to start off because that was the first response. So the next slide is now from Ned Pepper's, and this is now angling to the west. So the shooter is up the street. He's crossed 5th Street. He's been shooting downrange or down 5th Street. The officers are reacting. You saw Officer Rolfus. You're going to see him again. He's going to come up in this portion of the screen. We have had to redact some of this just because there's some sensitive material on there that we didn't think was good for the public. But you're going to get a pretty good idea of the path of the shooter and the first response of the officers. So you're going to see Officer Rolfus kind of come up here, and you'll see on the right-hand side the path of Officer Rolfus approximate. So he's engaging right now. That was the shooter that just went by. So Officer Rolfus came up, and then he has now just responded back. You want to play that again? Yeah, I'll touch your mic. So Matt, can you play it again for me? So, and I put my hand away probably. There's Officer Rolfus, it was right in the middle there. There's the shooter coming by. So he was engaged there. So we're going to go to the next slide, which is still going to be from, this is from Ned Peppers. This will be the end of this scene. So the first slide of officers I showed you was the officers all fanning out. So they're all up here. So next door is hole in the wall. This is Ned Pepper's front door. You just saw down here Officer Rolfus engaging the shooter as he was running on the sidewalk. So you're going to see the shooter continue to run right here, and it's going to end right here. Okay, you can play for me. And then pause it for me. So if you look at the thumbnail on the right, you can see that the shooter is right in front of Ned Peppers. The blue dots show you where the police are located on the thumbnail over here. By our best resources that we have at our fingertips, we believe that the shooting started at approximately 1:05 and 35 seconds. We believe it ended at 1:06 and 7 seconds. That's 32 seconds. Depending on which video you're looking at, our first engagement was about halfway through that. All of this data has been turned over for more technical analysis with the FBI. That'll take quite a bit of, I mean, it took us a while to go through what we've got, and we were just honing in on certain parts. They will be going through audio and syncing social media, which we've collected that also. But in a nutshell, this accounts for the shooter's movements from the time he arrived in the Oregon District to the time that the incident ended.